Some stories begin with an invitation. Others begin with a warning. This one begins with a letter that should never have been opened. Tonight, you're about to hear a case that never reached the police, never reached the courts, and never reached the news. A story buried quietly beneath wealth, tradition, and family secrets. It is the story of a young woman who searched for belonging and found something far older than blood. Something patient, something hungry. If you are listening alone, you may want to keep a light on. Not because this story contains monsters, but because it reveals what ordinary people are capable of when tradition becomes more important than morality. This is not a ghost story. This is not a legend. This is the documented disappearance of Evie Harper. And the last place she was ever seen was a wedding. As a guest, Evie Harper grew up in foster homes. Her mother died when Evie was 6, and no father was ever listed on her birth certificate. For years, she searched for traces of family, school records, hospital files, old letters. Nothing. By 24, Evie worked as a bartender in London, living alone, carrying a quiet loneliness she had learned not to show. One night, after serving a drunk customer boasting about ancestry results, Evie ordered a DNA kit online. She didn't expect much, a percentage breakdown, maybe distant relatives. But when the results arrived, one name stood out. A direct cousin, not distant, not vague, close. Someone who shared enough DNA to be undeniable family. The profile photo showed a young man in formal attire, standing before a grand stone estate. His message read simply, "We've been looking for you." Evie hesitated before replying. Curiosity beat caution. Within days, she received an elegant invitation, printed on thick cream paper. The Harrowvale family requested her presence at the wedding of Lucas Harrowvale at Ashmore House in the English countryside. All expenses paid, transport arranged, dress code formal. The letter ended with a handwritten note. Family belongs together. Evie had never known family. The idea intoxicated her. She told herself this was fate correcting a long injustice. She boarded the train north. As the city faded behind her, fields stretched endlessly. Mist hugged the ground. Her phone signal weakened. By the time a chauffeur met her at a rural station, night had fallen. They drove in silence through winding roads. Finally, iron gates opened automatically. Beyond them stood Ashmore House, towering, ancient, lit warmly from within. Evie felt something tighten in her chest. Welcome had never looked so expensive. Inside, the house smelled of wood polish and candle wax. Portraits of pale-faced ancestors lined the walls, eyes following movement. A tall woman greeted Evie, smiling without warmth. "Welcome home," she said. Her name was Aunt Clara Harrowvale. Lucas, the groom, appeared moments later, handsome, charming, confident. He kissed Evie's hand like royalty greeting a commoner. "You're finally here," he said. "Our missing branch." Servants carried Evie's bags before she could touch them. Her room was lavish, overlooking dark forests. A dress hung inside the wardrobe, perfectly sized. A note rested on the pillow. "Wear this tomorrow. Ceremony begins at sunset." Evie hadn't agreed to be part of the wedding, yet somehow her participation was already decided. She told herself it was excitement, but when she locked her door that night, the lock clicked from the outside as well. Morning brought breakfast served by silent staff. No one ate together. The house felt full, yet empty. Evie wandered the halls. She counted 14 bedrooms. Only 5 guests. Too many rooms. Too many locked doors. In the garden, Lucas found her. He spoke gently about family legacy, old money, traditions. He never answered direct questions about how they found her. "Blood calls to blood," he said instead. When Evie laughed nervously, he smiled wider. "You'll understand tonight." That afternoon, she tried calling a friend. No signal. The Wi-Fi showed full bars but no internet. A landline in her room had no dial tone. She was isolated without realizing when it happened. The house had quietly sealed her in. As evening approached, the house transformed. Candles lit every corridor. Guests arrived wearing black and gold. No laughter, no small talk, just quiet murmurs. Evie put on the provided dress. Deep red velvet, elegant, heavy. When she reached the mirror, she noticed something stitched inside the collar. A name, Evelyn Harrowvale. Her name, already claimed. At sunset, music began, slow strings echoing through stone halls. Lucas met her at the staircase. "You'll stand beside me," he said. "It's tradition." Evie protested. Guests turned to stare. Aunt Clara whispered, "Don't embarrass us." Fear slid beneath Evie's skin. She obeyed. They walked together into a candlelit chapel built inside the estate. At the altar stood no bride, only a stone slab, and a priest whose eyes were entirely white. The ceremony began in Latin. Evie understood none of it. Lucas repeated phrases after the priest. Then the priest turned to Evie and spoke English. "Will you accept your place among your ancestors?" Evie shook her head. The room fell silent. Lucas gripped her hand tighter. "You already have," he whispered. Guests began chanting softly. Evie tried to pull away. The doors behind her slammed shut. Servants stood blocking exits. Panic rose. She shouted for help. No one reacted. The priest lifted a ceremonial knife. Lucas leaned toward her ear. "You're not the bride," he said calmly. "You're the offering." Evie kicked backward, hitting Lucas. The chanting stopped. Gasps filled the room. Aunt Clara's smile vanished. "Take her," she ordered. Two men grabbed Evie's arms. She screamed. No one intervened. Family loyalty sealed every mouth shut. Evie was dragged through corridors, down a staircase she hadn't seen before, into underground tunnels. The air grew colder, the walls older. Torches lit automatically as they passed. Finally, they reached a chamber carved from stone. In the center stood a circular pit covered by iron grates. Faint whispers drifted upward. Dozens of names were carved along the walls. All Harrowvale. Aunt Clara stepped forward. "Every generation," she explained calmly, "we return what was borrowed." Evie demanded explanation. Lucas descended the stairs slowly, his earlier charm gone. "We built this house on a pact," he said. "Longevity for sacrifice, wealth for offering. A family member must be given to what sleeps below." Evie realized the missing relatives on the walls were not dead. They were given, guests, just like her. Evie refused to cooperate. She fought, bit, screamed. They strapped her wrists with leather bindings. No one enjoyed it. No rage, no pleasure. Just ritual. A tradition older than morality. The chanting resumed. The pit below glowed faintly red. Something moved beneath the grates. Not seen clearly, only implied. A breath rising from deep below. The priest raised the knife again. Then a voice echoed from the pit. Not her. The voice was layered. Multiple voices speaking as one. Everyone froze. The priest lowered the knife. Aunt Clara looked unsettled. "She is of the blood," Clara said. The voice replied. "Too strong. She will break the house." Lucas stared at Evie. Something passed between them. Then Clara spoke again. "Then who?" Silence followed. The voice whispered, "The willing." Lucas stepped forward. Guests murmured. Aunt Clara's eyes widened. "Lucas," she warned. But Lucas smiled peacefully. "The house must endure," he said. "I will serve." Evie watched in horror as he took the knife, cut his palm, and let blood drip onto the grate. The pit pulsed. Guests chanted louder. Clara wept silently. Lucas turned to Evie. "Family stays together," he said softly. Then he stepped onto the grate. It opened beneath him. Darkness swallowed him. The chanting stopped instantly. The pit sealed. Silence returned. Evie trembled. The ropes were cut. No one touched her. Aunt Clara approached and kissed Evie's forehead. "You are free," she said. "Go." No apology, no explanation, just release. Evie fled upward through corridors. No one stopped her. Doors opened easily now. She ran out into the cold night. The gates opened automatically. The chauffeur waited by the car as if nothing unusual occurred. He drove her to the station. No words were exchanged. Evie sat shaking, clutching the seat. At dawn, she returned to London. She told no one what happened. No one would believe her. She quit her job, changed her phone number, moved apartments. For months she woke from nightmares of chanting and whispering pits. She believed it was over. She believed she had escaped. 6 months later, Evie received a letter. No return address. Thick cream paper. Inside, only a single sentence. "The house remembers you." Her hands shook. She burned the letter. That night, her apartment lights flickered. The hallway outside her door filled with the faint smell of candle wax. She heard footsteps. Familiar. Heavy. Approaching. Evie locked her door. The handle turned slowly from the outside. "Stop. Turn again. Stop." Then a soft voice whispered through the door. Lucas's voice. "Family stays together." Evie backed away. Her phone had no signal. The windows would not open. The apartment felt suddenly too warm, too full, too aware. Neighbors later reported hearing screams. When police arrived, the apartment was empty. No signs of forced entry. No sign of Evie. Her belongings remained. Her passport, her clothes, her phone. Only one thing was missing: the mirror above her dresser. In its place, a note written in neat handwriting. "She has come home." The handwriting matched the invitation letter from Ashmore House. Authorities opened an investigation. They found Ashmore House abandoned, dusty, empty, portraits removed, no names in property records, no family by that name in any registry. It was as though the Harrow Vales never existed. Journalists attempted to trace Evie's last movements. DNA company records showed her test submission, but the match profile was deleted. Customer service claimed a system error. Payment records for the wedding invitation led to a closed offshore account. The chauffeur never existed in employee registries. The station had no CCTV from that night. Corrupted files. Every trail vanished. It was as though Evie had never left London, or never existed at all. Years later, a new family bought Ashmore House. Renovation workers reported strange whispering in the walls. They quit. The family moved in anyway. On the first night, a young woman in a red velvet dress was seen standing in an upstairs window, smiling, watching the road. When police investigated after neighbor complaints, no one was found inside. The house was empty, but warm, fully furnished, ready for guests. Paranormal researchers later analyzed audio recorded near the property. In the silence, faint chanting could be heard. Names whispered, including Evie. Linguists confirmed the language did not match Latin, English, or any known dialect. They classified it as structured but unknown. No further investigation was approved. The site was marked private property. Access denied. The case closed quietly. The documentary team that reconstructed Evie's story requested permission to film inside Ashmore House. Approval was granted mysteriously quickly, but on the morning of filming, every crew member cancelled. Sudden illness, Family emergencies, travel disruptions. The director attempted to go alone. His car broke down halfway. He later admitted feeling watched from the tree line. He turned back. The documentary remained incomplete. Until now. Experts debate whether Ashmore House represents a cult, a psychological manipulation case, or an unexplained phenomenon. No bodies were ever found, no financial crimes detected, no trace of coercion discovered. Yet multiple missing person cold cases from nearby villages share one detail. All vanished after attending private events at the estate. Weddings, dinners, reunions, always as guests. Sociologists suggest the Harrowvale family exploited longing, people desperate for belonging, people seeking heritage, identity, connection, the perfect targets. The family offered inclusion, acceptance, a name. And once accepted, departure became impossible. A social trap disguised as generosity, a hospitality that turned into ownership. Occult researchers propose another theory, that the ritual did not worship a demon, but the house itself. That Ashmore House is a living structure fed by presence, by human identity, by memory. Each sacrificed guest becomes part of the house's awareness, a collective consciousness, a mind built from stolen lives, a home that literally becomes family. Neighbors report that sometimes, in the early hours of morning, lights turn on in rooms no one occupies. Curtains move, although windows are sealed. And faint music plays, string instruments, exactly like the wedding night described in Evie's final testimony to a friend weeks before she vanished. That friend, the only person Evie ever confided in, refused to appear on camera. She only sent one written statement. Evie said the house wanted to keep everyone who ever entered. She said being a guest there meant you never stopped arriving. Digital archivists studying Evie's online footprint discovered something disturbing. Her social media accounts remain active, occasionally liking posts, occasionally viewing stories. IP addresses trace back to rural England, near Ashmore House. Evie's identity still exists online, watching, interacting, present. Cybersecurity specialists attempted to shut the accounts down. Each time, the deletion request failed. Accounts restored automatically. No administrator access. No ownership confirmation. As if Evie herself refuses to be erased or cannot leave. Today, Ashmore House remains listed for sale. Always available. Always empty. Always pristine. The listing photos show a beautiful countryside estate. No mention of missing persons. No warning. Just opportunity, just invitation, just hospitality. Every year, one buyer expresses interest, then withdraws suddenly. No explanation, no contact afterward, no memory of inquiry, as if something whispers caution just before the door opens. But sooner or later, someone will accept. Someone lonely, someone curious, someone searching for belonging. Someone willing to take a DNA test. Someone who receives a letter on thick cream paper. Because Ashmore House does not hunt. It invites. It welcomes. It hosts. It collects. And every collection needs new additions. Evie Harper went searching for family. She found it. She found tradition. She found legacy. She found a place that never lets go. A house that feeds on hospitality, a family that grows through generosity, a guest list that never shrinks. So if one day you receive a message from a relative you never knew existed, inviting you to a beautiful countryside estate, offering everything you ever wanted, belonging, wealth, history, remember Evie Harper, remember Ashmore House, and remember this. Some invitations are not meant to be accepted, because once you arrive as a guest, you never truly leave.